After a grueling 28-game season, there's still one game left to play for two sides. Welcome to tonight's episode of Drop the Puck as we bring you the NIHL North promotion relegation game between the Dragons and the Widnes Wild. Alongside me for this one is Brian Shuttleworth. Evening, Brian.
Evening, Oz.
So, the Dragons won't necessarily have it all their own way tonight with the Widnes Wild.
Absolutely not. I mean, be under no illusions. The Widnes Wild have strengthened over this season and over the summer leading up to it. Obviously, with the Sheffield Spartans ending up folding at the back end of last season, they've picked up a number of quality players from there, including Ollie Barron and Stuart Brittle, who are two of the top 5 scorers in the Laidler Conference this season. And in goal scoring, they're no joke either this year.
Okay, and of course we know a lot about the Dragons, having seen them several times this season. They've got the morally point scorer top man in Scott McKenzie, so they've got the firepower that they need to get through this fixture as well.
Absolutely, but one of their main struggles this season could be very much playing into the hands of the Widnes Wild, and that has been at the back end of their office in the defensive and the inconsistency in goaltenders throughout the year. Might end up costing them. We'll have to find out.
Yeah, of course, this is the last game of the season for the Dragons. They need to win this to stay up in the Morley Conference, and then after this they will have no more games, so I'm sure they'll give everything that they possibly can. Whereas the Widnes Wild, of course, they want to win this game so that they can be promoted into the North 1 Morley Conference, but they've got the playoffs next weekend. So with the playoffs in Sheffield, the Widnes Wild will be trying to keep bodies available for that. Do you think they're also going to try and push as much as they can for this fixture?
Oh, absolutely. They've made it absolutely no mystery that their goal for the past 2 years has been get promotion at all costs. This year, they were literally 2 points away from that automatic promotion spot in the Laidler Conference. So they'll want to be trying their hardest to get it out of the promotion relegation game.
Indeed, the Widnes Wild have been the bridesmaids for a number of seasons. They are determined to get in that Morley Conference, and they'll be doing everything that they can tonight to make that a reality. Well, that's it from us. It's time now to...
Well, here we are at Blackburn Arena, a neutral venue for this game between the Dragons and the Wild. The Wild fans are raining down with drums. The Dragons fans, of course, were here last night as the Dragons secured their place in this game. And the Dragons start this game now with the puck behind their own goal. Trying to get it out. It just sticks a little bit on an ice surface that is still damp from the cut. Parsons there with the push, but Dipnell brings it across into the Dragon zone. That's chased there by Bobby Corns. Of course, he started the season in the Morley Conference with the Blackburn Hawks, so he's familiar with this Dragon side.
Oh, very much so. He's also very familiar with this rink, as he did play with the Blackburn Hawks. So he's probably going to be one of the players least likely to trip over the hump in the middle of the ice.
Indeed, of course, he played here for the Blackburn Eagles last season. And he's a former Wild man himself.
Indeed he is, yeah.
Before that, of course.
Before that, yeah. He played for them before he joined the Eagles.
The face-off there was won by the Wild, dumped high and clear, and so high that it hit the 25th anniversary banner of the Blackburn Hawks. Now this is Jordan Bannon, shot taken, just hits the skate of Super and goes into the corner. First man there is Pavel Valles, and he dumps away, icing that puck. Of course, icings don't count with the penalty situation that they have at the moment. 1 minute 40 remaining on the Dragons power play. Jordan Bannon on his own blue, brings it into the centre, going forwards, just brings it over the line. He's got Stuart Brittle trying to close him down. He decides to pass to Super. Bannon loses his footing on the boards, and this puck is now being tied up in the corner. Super now comes out along the half boards. He still has this puck. He's got McKenzie in support, decides to give it across. It's now going around McKenzie again. Dumped back in by the Dragons, still with them on the point. Back into Super. Super brings it into the face-off circle, across to Bannon, one-time shot, and that is in the goal. Near side post, squeezed it between the keeper and the iron. He should be saving those.
Yeah, but every single time I've seen the Dragons this season since Jordan Bannon joined them, or rejoined them, should I say, that has been an absolute trademark play for them, both on the power play and on even strength. Of course, what I'd essentially like to call the Spartans line out on the ice for the Wild at the moment, but poked well out of the zone for Bannon to chase after.
Yeah, offered to Manning. Interception by Scott McKenzie, who looks very different without his beard.
He looks like a kid. It's great.
That's rich coming from you.
I know.
Now they're put behind the goal here with Valles. Valles is looking for the right opportunity to get this puck out. Tries to push it onto his left wing. The Wild just keep possession, but then dump it away. They must have felt that they had no other chance with that, so it's now with Ryan Jones. It's the middle, Valles. Wainwright now trying to get it through into the corner. Simon Offord is now getting to this. Is he going to get there before Jordan Bannon? Yes, he is. Wraps it off the boards and gets it into the neutral zone. But with no clear possession for the Wild, the Dragons manage to bring it back on. Offord again gets the stick out. Valles off the boards and back out. It's now with Wainwright. Pushed off Scott McKenzie. McKenzie pushed down there by Bobby Combs.
Yeah, it was a heavy check on McKenzie, but I'd say definitely a clean one, especially, obviously, we didn't see the raising of the arm from Mr. Emerson.
4 minutes now remaining. Cy Furnival has this puck. Brings it out now. Going out is Chappell. Then to Wigglesworth. Doesn't keep it on his stick. He's now in the corner. Wigglesworth has possession. Decides to dump it back to Chappell. But Chappell's got 2 men on him. Valles trying his desperate best to keep this puck away from Chappell. It's getting physical again there. It's Hazeldine. It looks like Hazeldine was trying to go with Corns, but he had no interest in it. Shot again. It's off the inside of the post there from Cy Furnival. Still 1-0 the score, but I have no idea how after that effort.
Yeah, it hit the post and just sat on the goal line. The best part of that for me was Emerson was right there and saw it didn't cross the line. The goal line went on.
We have a delayed penalty here as we've got a man in a very serious situation in the boards.
Yeah,
now here's the interesting thing. The referee had his hand up for a delayed penalty, and it was Dennis Bell that was racing to the box. So he has no idea who the penalty is actually on at this moment in time.
And it looks like as a result of that, Cy Furnival has been thrown out of the game.
Cy Furnival will take no further part in this contest. They are indeed on a 5-minute power play.
Yeah, it's Jacob Lutwich sitting that for the Dragons. So they'll be in a 5-on-4 situation for the rest of this period.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
Regardless of goals.
3 minutes and 19 seconds remaining of this period. So that penalty will carry over into the start of the second. This now is with Ollie Barron on the left point line. He's got Pavel Valles on the opposite side. The Czech is just waiting. He's in the right place. Shot taken there from a close range, but you don't seem to be happy with that.
Pavel Valles was wide open at the back post. He had all net to look at, and Dennis Bell was down, and they didn't get it across to him.
Another shot from the tightest and cutest of angles, despite the fact that Simon Offord and Pavel Valles were in great positions to take the shot for the Wild. This is still in the Wild's possession, but they have it behind the goal line. Knock it out. It's now Ollie Barron on the right point. Knocks it back in around the boards to Stuart Brittle. Stuart Brittle to Manning. Manning again. Into the centre. Valles just cannot connect with it. And McKenzie manages to push them off the puck and dump it away. That is 1 minute killed.
Yeah, that time they found Pavel Valles, but they found him, and the puck found him about a foot too far forward. So just unfortunately for the Wild, unable to capitalise on that one.
Oh dear, we have a situation here that is one of the sloppiest penalties you'll ever see in the game.
Is it too many men?
Too many men has been given against the
dear.
Dragons. So Richardson's going to sit that for him. It's now a 5-on-3 situation for at least 2 minutes. And there are about 1 minute and 50 seconds remaining on the other penalty after that. So 5-on-3 for 2 minutes, 5-on-3, and then a 5-on-4 for 1 minute and 50. Dipnell gets it across, shot taken, and that's a goal. 1-1, the score, the equaliser there from the Wild, and that was well worked.
And almost identical to Jordan Bannon's goal for the Dragons to tie the game up at 1. A great pass across, but so much open ice in a 5-on-3 situation. They had to find that pass eventually, and they did, and they've capitalised.
Won by Collins, dropped back. I thought Dipnell was going to take a shot, then decides to get it across. And we have a bit of a tussle here in front of Dennis Bell. This is going to get properly aggressive here. That's not just a bit of pushing and shoving. thought a punch may have been thrown in there.
No, there were a couple of players just trying to protect their netminder as it did look like someone gave a little shove out to Dennis Bell, just trying to rile him up probably.
The Dragons can just rest a little bit more calmly in their penalty kill. Mackenzie has this puck and he's playing it away from the Wild goals. He brings it to the half line, tries to dump it away, but he actually gives Manning a chance to go forwards now. He's got Ollie Barron with him, decides to switch it up, but he knocks it offside. Valles with this puck, but he's got to wait for everyone to come back out before he can go over the blue. He still has it now. Mackenzie was pushing him off that. Mackenzie's watching the clock and decides to come back into the centre. There we have it, the end of the first period, and a feisty one here from Blackburn Arena.
Absolutely, tons of penalties in that first period. My apologies as well. It is actually 4-on-3, of course, to end.
And so the puck drops here for the second period between the Dragons and the Wild. And the game continues, 1-1 the score. And a lot of intensity from the first period that's going to boil over into this second, Brian.
Absolutely, it already started to as well, and a lot of energy from the Wild coming out already in this second period.
The Dragons are now back to 4 skaters as the penalty on Jordan Bannon has expired. The shot taken there on Dennis Bell by the Wild. Jordan Bannon comes straight into a defensive position to try and get this away. But 4-on-4 it is. We've got 15 seconds on one penalty remaining for the Dragons. Knocked off behind the balls by Hazeldine. And there we go, Stuart Brittle is straight out. They're officially on a power play now. And there we go, finally, every single penalty has expired. 5-on-5 now as Jordan Bannon up the right wing. Brings it onside, gets it into the centre, tries to take the shot. It's bounced off the boards there by Dipnell and into the middle. And the Wild are coming forwards now. Here it is, Stuart Brittle. Shot saved by Dennis Bell. Slightly high stick there by Hazeldine, just trying to keep that puck away from the Wild, but it hasn't been called by the ref. Stretch on Wigglesworth, it just goes on past him, and that goes to the netminder there, Matthew Croyle.
I think more out of force of habit than anything else.
So the face-off, Wainwright now tries to take the shot in. Away again by the Wild, and Bobby Corns now is chasing this. Dennis Bell's first man there. He decides to cleverly knock it back off the half-boards and give it to Kemp. Kemp now for the Dragons, behind his own goal, making a way out. Looks for the pass, very cleverly gets it around Corns. That was clever, but then Wainwright gives it away. Oh, Kemp back to steal his own puck. And now Wigglesworth brings it onside, takes the shot. But that just hits their leg. It's now in the corner, Wigglesworth trying to push this puck away. No clean possession now as Super's trying to get it away. He now has it on the edge of his stick. He goes behind the Wild goal, brings in, tries to go for the wraparound as he thought that just then Matthew Croyle had committed far too much to his other side post, and it was nearly in, Brian.
Yeah, he only just got across as it comes out to Wigglesworth.
It's a goal! Super knocks that in as Croyle hadn't frozen it despite it being next to him in the crease. 2-1 the score for the Dragons. Parsons against Ollie Barron. Puck drops, Ollie Barron wins, knocks it back to Valles. Valles comes out, tries to go around the side, decides to go behind his own goal. He's looking for the first opportunity to come out. He's got offered to his right. There we have 5-on-5 strength. That's exactly what he was waiting for as Jackson races out the box. But he doesn't join the attack, interestingly. He goes straight to the bench. That's a goal.
Oh,
wow.
my word. Dennis Bell had no idea that went past him. It was a stuff attempt at the short side post on the backhand. And Dennis Bell was convinced he had that covered, and he is furious, as he should be.
Nothing he could do with the puck, so he decides to just dump it on the near side post on Dennis Bell. Dennis Bell was stood there on his post, but somehow it snuck through and went in. Very, very disappointing for a netminder of that standard, just as we were saying.
Once again, though, we see that the Wild have a lot of fight in them, and they're making sure this is a tight game.
Kennedy has it behind his goal. He had Chappell open. Chappell is skating around his face-off circle, wanting this puck. The Dragons have actually slowed this game down. I think they're trying to get the momentum out of the Wild, as Wigglesworth just taps that to stop the icing call. Gets it into the centre. Interception there by Dipnell. He's looking for a stretch pass. The Wild have been playing those all game. Ratcliffe brings it onside, pushes it around the boards. Kennedy pushes him into the boards, but the puck carries on going. It's just kept onside there. Into Corns. Corns was, it seems to be knocked over by Chappell, but there was no penalty in it.
I'm not sure myself. I mean, that's as blatant a hook as you're going to see, in my opinion. He'd got around him, was about to take the shot and was brought down, so...
Won by the Dragons, knocked into the corner, knocked around the boards, trying to get it to Wainwright, but it's ended up staying. There we go, finally gets it through to Wainwright. He's got it on his goal line and he's now racing forwards. Right wing, over his own blue, gets it to McKenzie. Trying to get it through to Bannon, but interception offered, dumps away. Suddenly Ollie Barron racing forwards. Dennis Bell gets there first, manages to knock it into the boards, but that could have been a dangerous situation for the Dragons. Wainwright again to Super. Super gets round Brittle. Now he's on goal. Has it on Croyle. Croyle with the best downside blocker save you're going to see.
Philip Super was already celebrating. He was convinced that was a goal, but what a save.
That was outstanding. He just kept him off it.
It's a penalty called against the Wild now.
Scott McKenzie, 9.9 on that dive, but Manning is being pushed up. Don't get me wrong, that was a penalty in that McKenzie was tripped.
He sold it well, but it was a definite penalty.
Yet another face-off in the Dragons' end. McKenzie going down for this one for the Dragons. But the Wild win it yet again. Right point. Back to the half-boards. Centre of the blue line now. Does he wind up and take a shot? No, he gets it through to Valles, who still has it. Gets it across the slot, but no one was there. Simon Offord now. Centre of the blue takes the shot. Hits McKenzie skating. Goes into the boards behind the goal. Wild yet again. Shot and just glancing wide. Valles now with a follow-up. It hits the iron above Dennis Bell's shoulder.
So much pressure from the Wild right now. They have to find a way to get it in the back of the net.
If they are ever going to take the lead in this game, this is the perfect opportunity as Valles knocks it back into the corner. Only 10 seconds remaining now on their power play. As Manning has it behind the goal. Some heavy checking there by the Dragons in the crease. They just managed to get it out as Barlow's racing forwards. This puck is stray. 1-on-1. Sorry, it's... No, that doesn't... Is it in?
A goal.
It's a goal. Jordan Bannon scores from a Hazeldine assist.
It hit the pipe in the back of the net and came right out again, which is why it didn't look like it went in. But Jordan Bannon does indeed get his second goal of the game to give the Dragons the lead once more.
Yet another power play opportunity for the Widnes Wild. 2 minutes on the clock there for number 7, Parry of the Dragons. 2 minutes and 42 seconds remaining in the second period. As from the face-off, that shot goes straight into the glove of Dennis Bell. That was a routine save and freeze by him. 3-2 the score still to the Dragons.
Yeah, I think Nick Manning just literally slapped that straight off the face-off at Dennis Bell.
I've seen him go in before now.
Absolutely. Particularly Jared Owen against the Manchester Phoenix.
Yes.
Apologies, no, it was against Billingham Stars, wasn't it?
I don't know. We scored so many against the Billingham Stars, you lose count over time. So here is Simon Offord now, bringing it on. And I've just got a text message. Yes, hello to all my Billingham friends who are listening into this game. Of course, the entire Morley and Laidlaw conferences are listening in on this one. The listening figures on this game are massively high. This is the biggest game we've had this season so far. 2 minutes remaining in the period. 1 minute 15 now remaining on the power play for the Wild, but they're just not doing anything with it.
They have just set up as a great pass goes across towards Valles, though, but just missed his stick, and the Dragons will clear again.
Yeah, it's back all the way down. That's back all the way down to Croyle. So a bit of Microphone interference there. 55 seconds now remaining on this, but this is a completely different power play to the one that they had shortly before the Dragons' third goal. In that one, they were setting up all day long in front of Dennis Bell, but now they're struggling to barely get it in the Dragons' end. They have brought it in. They've just taken a backhand shot there, but it comes off Jones's leg. And they now have this puck. Give it to Ollie Barron, who takes a shot. That's on Dennis Bell's leg, but he doesn't gather cleanly, and that is an equaliser.
And that is exactly what I was talking about on the last power play. A big rebound off Dennis Bell as a shot came through a screen, landed right out in front. This time, someone was out in front.
It's Baron
and it
Hughes.
Was, I thought it was Thomas Radcliffe out in front there as it was slapped home past Dennis Bell. But the Wild once again tie this game up, but that's not what they need right now. What they need is to find a way to break the deadlock themselves this time. With 4.8 seconds left.
We're still not entirely sure who's got which penalty box, though, because that's been the Dragons for the majority of the game.
Yeah, they are just swapping them at will, aren't they?
I don't think they care, really. He's going to sit there. Anyway, face-off called off, so we've got 3.2 seconds remaining on the clock for the second period. But we've managed to just lose 1 second off Ollie Barron's penalty there. But yeah, it's interesting to note, this is a Dragons power play. We've not heard a lot of that this game.
Yeah, there's been a lot of feistiness from both.
Shot taken there by Hazeldine, and that is the end of the second period here at Blackburn Ice Arena. After 40 minutes of hockey, it's on as even. 3 goals apiece between the Dragons and the Wild. Join us again in approximately 15 minutes' time for the third and final period. And welcome back for the third and final period of the game between the Dragons and the Widnes Wild. 3-3 the score, but we had a bit of an incident at the end of the second period there. Brian, just talk us through that.
Yeah, nothing too major, nothing of any kind of particular note, just little handbags at dawn between full sets of teams after the buzzer of the second period. No particular major fights, but we do have some 10-minute misconduct's been thrown around. We've got 2 for the Widnes Wild in Andrew Turner and Michael Moore. And for the D-side Dragons, Ryan Jones is also sitting a 10-minute misconduct penalty. So the period's going to start with still a 5-on-4 power play for the Dragons. But both teams are short of players due to a bit of handbags after the second.
Yeah, now we're just waiting for the ice to dry. It is particularly moist down there.
It's kind of soggy. You could swim down there.
That's
behind
really
Coyle,
bad.
that's
Behind
terrible.
the goal.
And behind Bell.
Behind both goals. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed here in Blackburn, but there's quite an incline on this rink.
I'm sure someone might have noticed by now.
Yeah, so there's always a pool of water down behind both goals. Anyway, we are here now in the third period. This puck now is with Jordan Bannon. He puts it behind the goal. Very, very wet behind there. That has yet to freeze yet. He's still on the ice. That puck goes and bounces off from behind the goal. And the Wild are trying to get it away. It's still with the Dragons now. Gives it to McKenzie on the left point. Then he comes back into Parsons. Parsons has it back around the Wild goal and back to Parsons. Bannon is calling for it, but decides to push it out to the side of the face-off circle. Tries to get it through traffic, but it hits a leg and goes over the glass. Speaking of the Widnes Wild, none of the mascots have made it today. I thought we'd get Puck and the Penguin.
Very interesting. We normally see Pucker down at Blackburn.
And the Dragons, of course, could have brought their furry red friend.
He only comes out on special occasions.
Icing is waved off as this is with Austin in his own zone. Now going forward for the Dragons. Gets it onto the right wing. It's brought over the half line. Jordan Bannon cannot get his stick on it. Dipnell with the turnover there. Has it in his own zone. Looking for a way to go forwards. Decides to carry on skating through the middle. But then dumps away. He dumps that on Dennis Bell. I think there's a little bit more that he could have done with that. But we've had 3 minutes played in the third period so far. Still 3-3 the scoreline here. Dragons chasing this. Of course, need we remind people that the winner of this game will be playing in North 1 next season. And I think on the balance of this game so far, they both deserve to be there.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously the Dragons have had a very, I don't know, up and down season really in the Morley Conference, but obviously the Wild have been working so hard to try and get there the past few years. They obviously want it.
Yeah, Bobby Coulson now brings this onside, but he's been called off. I'm not quite sure I agree with that. Oh, wow, we've got a massive incident here. Down in the corner, as both number 77s are fighting with each other. We've got Mackenzie and Bobby Corns.
Yeah, more handbags at dawn. Nothing. No one seems to be willing to drop the gloves at the moment. It's a lot of face washing and shoving and pushing up against the corners. But yeah, it looks like nothing's going to come out of this again.
There is far too much at stake for this. No one is going to take any silly penalties for fighting, although Stuart Brittle is being...
I'm not sure. I think there's going to be some silly penalties here. Both teams need this win in order to keep what they've been working towards going. Obviously, Scott McKenzie, the last thing he wants is to have all his hard work taken away and pushed down to Laidler. And obviously the Wild, for the past 3 years, have been doing nothing but to try and get to this point.
Yeah, I said that this would be the season that the Wild finally make the step up, and the Eagles suddenly came out and won that conference. Philip Super trying to get that across the slot. No one there. Again, the Dragons have done that so many times this game. Getting the puck in exactly the right place, but had the wrong people in the wrong places at the same time. Jordan Bannon just missing that. Stuart Brittle now has it. He gets it into the Dragon zone. He's being pushed up against the boards. 8 minutes remaining exactly in this game as it's in the corner with Ollie Barron. Then around the goal. It's behind it. There's just so many men that keep going in on these pucks when they're up against the boards. It's tying up too many people.
It seems to be the Dragons' tactic in their own end, though, because it's stopping the Wild moving at all.
A shot as Valles falls to his knees as he does that. Expert work there by the defenseman. Again, he's a clear shout for being in the first All-Star team for this division. He's been outstanding this season. Wainwright now has the puck, gets it across, tries to get it across the blue. Jordan Bannon now chasing against Thomas Ratcliffe. Ratcliffe has it, but I think he's skating too faster than he can actually handle that. Gives it away there. Here's Parsons now. Parsons has the puck on his stick, brings it to the goal line. No one with him. Tries to get the backhand pass into Lovell in the centre, but a great poke check there by Ratcliffe. Yeah, he just saved that easily.
Because Parsons was going for the wraparound, and Croyle was actually stuck in no man's land with a defenseman in front of him. He couldn't get across there. There was no way he was getting across that crease.
Here we go. Brittle versus McKenzie face-off. Won by the Dragons. They've not been winning a lot of them. Straight off that face-off, they took the shot, but it's a waffle save. Pushed back down, and the Wild again managed to get it into the neutral zone. Austin pushes it over to the right wing. Super loses a skate, loses the puck, and Valles now going down the middle. He's got it with him. He's got Manning in support. He gets it over the blue, gives it Manning. Manning doesn't keep it on the end of his stick, and it's now into the far corner. Jordan Bannon comes in. Can he get this puck off him? Valles now in, and again we've got a situation where 4 men are tied up against the boards, and the fifth man has to come in to get the puck out. McKenzie has it onto the right wing now with Super. 4 minutes exactly remaining in this game. Super brings it onside. He's checked away from that. Ollie Barron is doing everything to stop him playing this puck. There must be some kind of interference or holding penalty in all that. Nothing has been given. The game has been allowed to play on. 3 minutes 50 remaining.
Half the players stopped skating then because they were convinced there were going to be a penalty.
Yeah, Ollie Barron was more focused on stopping Super from playing than actually getting the puck and knocking it out of his own end. Another situation there where the Dragons managed to get the puck into the slot, but there was no man waiting for it. Dipnell wasn't watching the game, and he actually could have, if it had turned around, he could have had the puck on his stick. As it was, it went past him, and Parsons now has it. Goes around Ratcliffe. Back in the middle here. Wild have it on the centre line. Is going into the right-hand side is Dipnell. Off the half-boards there, he dumps a shot in across Dennis Bell in the goal. And that's now with Burren Hughes. Face-off win by the Dragons. Kennedy now behind the goal. No one with him. Has to go for a stretch pass. It bounces off Wigglesworth back, and Valles knocks it away again. Hazeldine. Hazeldine still looking for someone to pass to there. Chappell gets it through traffic. Wigglesworth now going for this against Offord. Offord pokes away. And now with Valles around the boards. Gets it across to Dipnell, and suddenly Ollie Barron's now on the stretch pass chase. Icing will be waved off as Ollie Barron was the first man past the hash marks. Can't do anything with it. He just has to knock it off the boards. Wigglesworth collects, and now he gets it on the right wing. He's got Kemp. Kemp for the Dragons. Has Kennedy with him. Kennedy just managed to keep a skate on the blue line, but in the confusion, the Dragons lost the puck, and it's another turnover. It's Stuart Brittle now. 2 minutes remaining in this game. Stuart Brittle into the centre, gives it to Ratcliffe. Ratcliffe has it behind the goal line, gives it Pavel Valles. Sorry, it's Stuart Brittle there. So Scott McKenzie goes in. McKenzie and Bannon, Wild come out with it though, take the shot, and it hits the glass behind the boards. 1 minute 40 seconds remaining in this game, and it's now at the point with Strangeway. Manning in. And a bit of clean possession there for the Dragons. They're trying to slow this down a little bit, and Kemp gets it out. Change for them. They race to the bench. 1 minute 30 remaining, and it's now with Turner in his own end for the Wild. Behind the goal. Now, we haven't actually discussed this yet, but we will be going into an overtime situation if this remains the same for the next 1 minute and 15 seconds.
Do you know what the rulings are for the overtime in this particular game, though? Because I'm not sure if it's 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 5-on-5. I'm not sure.
No, I don't know either. I wouldn't like to say at this stage. There's 1 minute exactly remaining. Icing given. That's going back down to the Dragons' end. 57.1 left on the clock. Austin from the face-off behind his goal, and now coming out. Tries to be clever, putting it through the middle for someone to chase, but no one was quick enough, and Simon Offord is there first. Now with Valles. Valles loses it. Super has the puck. Deeks round two. Gets it in the face-off circle. Gets to Jordan Bannon, who takes a shot. And he was robbed.
Daylight robbery of Jordan Bannon from getting his hat-trick. Matthew Croyle, what a glove save.
35.9 seconds on the clock. Face-off in the Wild end. From that face-off, Wainwright has it at the point, takes the shot, hits the stick, is still going through traffic, goes behind the goal. 30 seconds exactly remaining in the game as the puck goes all the way around the balls for Jones of the Dragons now has it. Through to Lovell. Parsons tips it on. Offord has it. He dumps it off the balls to give it to Manning. 15 seconds now remaining as Parsons goes over. Valles with the poke check away. The Wild seem to be winding this clock down at the minute. I think they fancy themselves in an overtime situation. Stuart Brittle now over the line, takes one final shot. It hits Wainwright's leg, and that is it. Oh, a save with the end of his stick at the exact zero mark. That goal, if it had gone in, would have been timed at 0.5 of a second remaining, but a stick end save by Dennis Bell ties this game at 3 at the end of the third period. We are going to overtime.
Yeah, we're going to have a short break before going into a sudden death overtime situation to decide who it will play in the Moral League Conference next season. Would you have seen this at the start of the game?
Here we have it, 5 minutes, overtime, 3-on-3 hockey, no imports allowed, it's game on. Next goal wins. Jordan Bannon gives it to Kennedy. Kennedy wipes up, takes a shot, it just hits Ollie Barron's skate. And this now is Simon Offord, gets it to the left wing to Ollie Barron. Ollie Barron brings it onside. He hits Jordan Bannon and it goes into the boards behind. Kennedy's trying to get this puck away from him. Jordan Bannon's trying to get this puck out. Kennedy now has it on his stick. Gets it forwards now. It's Bannon. 2-on-1. Scott McKenzie, Simon Offord's between them and the goal. Jordan Bannon's in the slot. McKenzie has the puck through to Bannon. He takes the shot.
Save.
That is a save. At the end of his stick, he just managed to save it. How that didn't go in is beyond me. Shot taken there by Hazeldine, but it's with Simon Offord, and he just gets it over the blue. 4 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in this game.
Croyle has kept his team in it with that save. What an unbelievable stop again to deny a Bannon hat-trick.
Dipnell now, as the Wild have gone for a bit of a change here. 4 minutes exactly remaining in this. Dipnell has the puck. He lets it go off his stick a little bit. Hazeldean's putting pressure on him. Dipnell has to go back to his own goal line, knock it from behind the goal. Wild still have it in their end. They're going to cautiously go forwards with this, as Parry is the highest man. Now it's Hazeldine for the Dragons, keeping them pegged back in their own zone. Manning doesn't know what to do with this. He tries to get it off the boards to Dipnell, but he gives possession away to the Dragons. Here's Hazeldine to Parry to Wainwright. Wainwright can't get this shot. Backhand. Save yet again there by Matthew Croyle. Another one glances across the wild goal. 3 minutes and 25 seconds remaining in this overtime situation. Parry has the puck on his stick from the point, then goes to the goal line on the left-hand wing. Gets it behind the goal. The crowd here are electric as that just goes out of the zone and into the neutral ice. 3 minutes now remaining. Shot taken there by Hazeldine. It's a save, but it's a rebound, and he just cannot get it anywhere near the goal.
Missed the net. Unbelievable chance for Hazeldine, but he couldn't put it home.
Oh my word, this is incredible. Manning now gets it in. It's Stuart Brittle. He's looking for the pass. There's a screen now in front of Dennis Bell. This is the first time that the Wild have had it in front of the goal in this overtime situation. 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. Turner now takes the shot. Save, leg save by Dennis Bell, and the Dragons whap it away. That's
going to be icing, and the Dragons want to go for a change, but they're not going to get it. No icing.
No icing. That's down. It's now with Stuart Brittle. He pushes it back. And now Stuart Brittle on the right wing. He brings it onside. Ollie Barron's in the middle waiting for this, but the Dragons just get it. Oh no, Parsons just cannot get it out of his zone. Brittle. Shot taken there by Turner, and it hit iron. Wow, 2 minutes remaining in this game. Again, next goal wins on this, as it's now 2 minute 3-on-3 overtime. Everyone's just falling over each other behind the Dragons' goal. Dennis Bell is calm and composed, and he's just freezing that. Oh, Dennis Bell's furious there.
Yeah, and he's got a goaltender interference penalty for his trouble as Stuart Brittle on that. That is the worst and stupidest penalty he could ever give away. Why he went after that puck when it was already frozen, I have no idea, but he's got to see the box for it, and it's going to be 4-on-3 in favour of the Dragons for the remainder of this overtime, because if they score, it's over.
4-on-3. Face-off in the Wild end, won by the Dragons. As Hazeldine gives it to McKenzie. McKenzie over the goal line. Parsons was in the slot, cannot get it to him, and the Wild whack that away all the way down to Dennis Bell. 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining now on this OT situation. McKenzie across to Hazeldine. Hazeldine bringing it on. Banner's just on the left wing, waiting for him to come onside. Hazeldine goes forward, saved by Croyle. He doesn't gather cleanly though. It just carries on going into the corner. Still with the Dragons. Wind up shot by Bannon. Hits Offord on the shoulder and then
almost
goes
took his head off.
Yeah, if he hadn't moved, that would have hit his head. Hazeldine again tries to get it through to Jordan Bannon. Poke check away there by the Wild. 1 minute and 10 seconds remaining on the OT here. Jordan Bannon's shot hits the glass behind the goal.
He's desperate for that third goal.
He's absolutely desperate, but rightly so. He's the person that seems to get himself in the shooting positions. Parsons was in the crease, couldn't take the shot there off McKenzie. 1 minute exactly remaining in the OT situation. Jordan Bannon again on the blue line, gets it through to Scott McKenzie in the middle. Parsons puts it in! It's a goal! Parsons scores for the Dragons. The Welsh flags are being waved on the opposite side of the arena for us, and with 51.8 seconds remaining, they have secured their Moral League Conference status, and the Wild fans are devastated. Thank you for joining us this evening. We hope you've enjoyed our broadcast. We hope that you all tune in next weekend.
And so we have it, the end of the NIHL North Promotion Relegation Playoff game, and a win for the Dragons against the Widnes Wild. And after 60 minutes of hockey, it still wasn't enough. We had to go to the OT situation, but for me, and I think you'd agree, that's one of the best games that we've seen this season, and a fantastic advert for our league.
Absolutely. Of course, in our position, we're very lucky to get to watch such a large percentage of the games in the leagues across the entire season. And yeah, as you say, that was absolutely one of the best. It was 2 periods initially of extremely physical, scrappy, fighting, energetic hockey, and then a very timid and cautious third period from both teams, both trying so hard to not give up any kind of the break in the game at all, and they still didn't, and it took all the way down to just over 50 seconds left before the game was finished. And of course, in those 2 periods, these boxes were very well used.
They were indeed. I mean, for me, the referee let a lot of things go, almost trying to keep the game in a good momentum, keep the game going forwards, and to keep the pace and the tenacity going. But at the same time, although it was getting feisty at certain periods in the game, he stopped a major fight happening. And okay, there was a bit of handbags at the end of the second period, but it didn't really boil over beyond a level that was acceptable.
Absolutely, but I do think Mr. Emerson got a little lucky on that touch, to be honest. I think that was down to some of the players on the teams calming each other down and trying to stop it, because there were points in that game where it did start to boil over a bit too much because he wasn't calling the penalties he needed to be calling, and he did get away with it a little, but I think he may learn some lessons from this as well as some of the players on the ice.
Yeah. Now I think let's actually talk about the Dragons season as a whole. They came up as the Laidler champions. A lot of people said that they might have been relegation fodder, and that's clearly not been the case. Although they was in this relegation game, the fact remains that the team that got relegated this season finished 3 points off the playoff spots. The Dragons actually had a fantastically competitive season, but it's a great thing going forwards for them with coach Scott McKenzie for next season.
Well, for the first season in a long time, there has been absolutely no whipping boys in the league in the Morley Conference this season. And again, like we were saying before the game, that's an absolute testament to the quality of the Laidler Conference coming up as well, because that last season, obviously, Solihull Barons came up, they finished way in the top half of the table and got to the playoffs, and of course this season the Deeside Dragons came up, they at one point were first in the league, and again, 3 teams on the same points to finish at the bottom end of the table, and only 3 points difference between making the playoffs. It shows how good the quality of this level of hockey is getting to now.
Yeah, definitely. Last season, the team that finished 5th and just missed the playoffs were 5 points off it. This season, the team that's relegated finished 3 points off the playoff spot. So it just goes to show how amazingly competitive this league is. And now let's just talk about the Widnes Wild. Next weekend, they've got the playoffs. They finished in 2nd place, so they're going to want to try and get a trophy to end their season on a high. Do you think they're more than capable of doing so after a performance like this?
If they can play anything like that, absolutely 100%. They were outstanding tonight, and they went above and beyond what anyone thought they would be capable of against a Morley Conference team. And if they play like that next weekend, absolutely they can get silverware, and it is all they'll have their eyes on at this point, because they are more than capable of doing it.
Yeah, in fact, for me as a disappointment, I'm going to say this to the Wild organisation as a whole. I've been talking to a lot of people after that game. They said, wow, the Wild haven't played like that all season. Well, why not? They're clearly capable of it, and I hope that from a showing like that, the way that Ollie Barron's putting in these things into place, they have to be favourites for that Laidler title next season.
Well, the amazing thing is, if they'd have played a couple of games like that throughout the season, they could well have won that Laidler Conference. 2 points was the only difference, but alas, they just couldn't quite do enough.
Well, okay, that is all we have time for on this week's Drop the Puck. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you've enjoyed all of our output across the season and across the Morley and Laidler conferences. But from us here at Blackburn Ring, thank you and goodbye.